This edition of our podcast is brought to you by 360 Health and Well Balanced Nutrition.
Welcome to the Heath Geeks Book Club podcast. Listen in as Kristen Norton and Eleanor Russell review all those great health and wellness books you've been wanting to read or you have read and want to talk about. Here's Kristen and Eleanor.
How many of us can relax without feeling guilty or spend time idly without worrying about what you should be doing instead? The author of our next book wants us to reconsider our ways, let go of the worry, and to fully embrace the art of doing nothing.
Oh, hey, yeah. Hey, if you're as interested in prevention as I am, contact me, Eleanor Russell, at 360health4u.com. Whether you're interested in financial wellness or physical health products, 360 Health invites you to become part of our community.
Eleanor, you can pick some really thick books, so I was delighted to have this adorable little book with a cat sitting on the cover. A fat cat.
Oh, he is fun.
And better yet, it's about doing nothing. How'd you discover this book?
Well, Kristen, you know how we took that field trip to our local bookstore?
Yes.
Well, I kind of wanted to do it again, so I went. I took a solo. I found about 30 minutes one day that I had to kill, and I said, I'm near the bookstore, I'm going in. And went over to our little wellness collection to see what they had there. And the fat cat on the cover was just too cute to avoid, so I picked it up and I thought, that looks like fun. So maybe it would be a good read.
Yeah.
No one told me about it. I hadn't read about it. It was just a visual, because I am visual. And so when I saw that cover art, works on me.
Yeah, it's super cute.
Yeah, it works on me. I like cover art. And, with photo albums, not photo albums, but vinyl music albums, how we used to love the covers. Mm-hmm. Still do.
Yes.
Well, small and cute, but not like some of our others.
Definitely not like the quantum physics books that we've been reading.
No.
So this was published in 2020, and it was published by a really interesting publisher that we have not dipped into before. It was White Line Publishing. It's part of the Quarto Group in London. So this is maybe a European book. Mm-hmm. With a name like this, you can guess that it might be The Dutch Art of Doing Nothing. But they publish books that enhance, enrich, and illuminate. And their focus is self-care, lifestyle, pop culture, travel, and catch this, they dig this right in the middle of all this fun list, issues and activism, and then food and travel and drink. So I thought, what are you really publishing here? Are you publishing issues and activism, and then you're kind of covering it with all this fun stuff like travel and drink? Anyway, this gal that wrote the book is named Annette, and I'm not going to do her justice. Can you, Kristen?
Lavrijsen?
It's Lavrijsen. Maybe. But she is a former editor of Women's Health in the Netherlands. And as a freelance journalist, she writes mostly on health, psychology, and nature. She's also the author of a book called Shinrin Yoku, which we read a partner to that called Forest Bathing.
Yes.
Then she is she's regularly disconnects from her phone, which I would like to do, Wi-Fi, and daily concerns in search of new insights and fresh energy and vigor. She divides her time between Amsterdam and Barcelona. I could find nothing about her education.
Right.
There was, I don't know what her background is, if it's journalism or where she did it or if she did it. They're just not available.
And, I mean, it's just a real light, easy read, too. So the title is Niksen, Niksen, The Dutch Art of Doing Nothing. And it's a cute little, I'm going to set this out in my living room. It's that cute. And it's just easy to read, lots of pictures, and, a page. Like every other page, there's words on it, and then there's pictures. So it's just one that's really easy to digest and read, even a little bit at a time. Yeah. And just an encouraging reminder, like, oh, yeah, it's okay to do nothing sometimes. But it is it has a structure to it. So first she takes us through
the Happy Dutch.
The Happy Dutch. What is Niksen and why do we need it? Do you want to chime in there?
Yeah. She talks about that we should dare to be idle, and she gives us some exercises and ideas. And then she says you need to reset your priorities, which we will be talking about, and then where to do it and when to do it and why you should do it. So it does have a good structure. I thought the book was well done, and I liked her little exercises. Did you read her manifesto?
Yes, and it's worth revisiting a couple times.
It's on 26. Can I share it?
Yeah.
Okay, so the manifesto of Niksen is, I will make doing nothing a priority. Like that. Number 2, I will allow myself to do nothing. I will carve out time to do nothing every day. And I will make these moments of nothingness an integral part of my professional and private life. And I will make doing nothing a habit for life. So that's the manifesto. Now, why would we embrace that manifesto? Does she have any justification?
Yeah, she has lots of benefits. And, before I go into the benefits, she confronts that you might think this is just another form of mindfulness, but she says not quite. Mindfulness, you're sitting on a cushion or you're at a sanctuary at home, you got scented candles around you. But like many of us, that's hard to do, right? It's a very challenging thing for most of us.
Or you could do it for a week.
So mastering mindfulness requires hard work and perseverance. Niksen, on the other hand, is far less complicated. It can include any restorative pastime that takes your mind off your everyday worries, doesn't require any effort or headspace, and is useless in terms of generating profit, a fit body, or social connections.
Yeah, so this is a Dutch thing, right? Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, I don't know that much about the Dutch, and I have a friend in my world now who is Dutch, and I cannot wait to talk to her about this. And I almost tried to get her to come to this, but I thought I didn't think of it soon enough, and she wouldn't have had the lead time. But in here, they talk about this word. It used to mean, like, if you said someone was a nixnut, you were saying they were a useless, good-for-nothing. And
that was an insult.
Yeah, and then after the 1920s, things changed a little bit, and they began to think differently about maybe doing nothing is okay. And the Netherlands evidently have a very high happiness index when people are measuring cultures. They have lower incidences of some of the things the rest of us are dealing with in the mental health area. Maybe they're onto something. But then I thought, well, what kind of governmental structure are they living under? Is it socialistic? What is it? So I looked it up.
I don't know, but they have often 4-day work weeks.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that. But they are a monarchy, but it's a democratic monarchy.
Constitutional.
They have a parliament, yeah. And so they are also somewhat capitalistic. Because I was thinking, maybe if they're more socialistic, they can sort of share stuff, but no, evidently they're not. But tell us about the 4-day work week, because I think that's fascinating.
Well, can we get into that in a minute?
Yep.
I wanted to go
over. Oh, you mentioned it.
Yeah, I know. Doing nothing has the same restorative benefits as mindfulness, just with less effort. So I didn't get a chance to go over why we need Niksen. It gives us more energy, better health. Taking regular timeouts prevents you from running out of energy and focus, reducing the risk of burnout. I read a book about burnout and how that has a major effect on our health. Happier family, more energy for your home life. Keep in mind that your kids will feel it if you are stressed and absent-minded. A healthy brain gives you greater efficiency when you are at work. Enhanced self-awareness, the possibility of an epiphany, more time for planning long-term goals, and better sleep. So,
yeah, sounds good to me.
Those are all great reasons why we should do nothing.
Yeah.
But no, they say that average weekly work hours for the Dutch are 29 versus many other places are 36. Yep. And it says that fathers, really that's what it said. I don't think it went in too much detail beyond that. Fathers can tend to reschedule their week so that they work 4 days, and then on Fridays or whatever is the dad day where they're home with their family or taking care of their kids and maybe giving their spouse time to do nothing or take a break.
Yeah,
Have either of you been to the Netherlands?
yes.
You have?
They say relatively small income disparities, a high standard of living, and a stable political climate in which people are free to make their own life choices undoubtedly all play a major role in keeping this nation chirpy. So that is what I was looking for, that idea of the disparities we have in America. Because I heard a story last night about a young woman with 2 kids, recently divorced, and ended up living in her car. And now how's she going to do this? You know?
Yeah.
So there has to have some stability and some lifestyle that allows people control over how their days go.
Absolutely. It does feel like it's
And I
a
was gonna say,
privilege.
it's sort of like a privilege, a rich person's craft. But on the other side of that, and there's a lot of research in our country about productivity, and when people are working nonstop or on their feet for 10 hours, they're not as productive as if they get these breaks or they, get away. So we understand that restoration benefits productivity. And that's kind of what this is a story about, is you need to restore yourself. And in that book called Happiness Trap, I think we were reading in there about dropping anchor and, being aware of where you are and then engaging with your body and then engaging with those around you. But you have to stop. And this Niksen idea, I think, could be a nice solution for people because you don't have to take a day or a weekend retreat.
No, it's really not about that. She says it could be 5 minutes to 30. Some people need more than that. But start small, just 5 minutes of doing nothing. So she walks you through the how, the where, and the when. So how to Niksen is just pick something to do one thing for the sake of it. So is it useful? Is it productive? Is it helping your social life, your business? Then it's probably not Niksen because it's not for the sake of doing it, right? So have you heard someone say, I have a hobby, and another person says, well, you should sell those things. And they're like, no, because then it wouldn't be a hobby anymore. It wouldn't be Niksen. So we have to find those things that are just for the sake of doing them. And then anywhere, she talks about different places, like setting up a calm, an inviting space in your home, maybe for some time out, or in nature and in the workplace, taking a break. Now, she calls out in the beginning how her parents would kind of nag her if they saw her just Niksen, right? Yeah. Sitting on the couch, not doing anything, and be like, hey, go do a chore. So I think we're just all in that, like, no, we should be productive. There are things to do. You cannot sit down. So even when I try to Niksen, I find myself going, oh, I should be doing this.
You start shooting yourself.
And then it's not enjoyable because I'm shooting myself.
No, right. Yeah, it's like, which is why you need to maybe take another hour.
There was more time.
On that forest bathing thing, there was a meme flying around my social media that says, if you're busy and agitated, take 15 minutes in the woods. And then if you're something else, you need an hour, It was that idea of you need more than 15 minutes. The myth busting, I think, is the challenge. Like you were just saying, it's like, I'm too busy.
Right. She challenges that.
Yeah. And I loved her idea of practice Dutch generosity. That idea of paying it forward or giving is restorative too. And it's funny that works that way. You think, I can't give anything away. Well, try it, and all of a sudden you go, God, it felt great. I'm a new person. So she has another myth of the fact that if you're too busy, I can't take time out because other people need me. That's another excuse that we use a lot of times. And actually, if you took the time out, you might be more effective with the people around you.
Right. And she kind of teaches you how to say no and explains that in the Dutch culture, it's easier, it's more commonplace to just say, hey, no, I need a day off, maybe next time. And no feelings are hurt. People understand because they do it. And I'm like, yeah, we should adopt that too. I know that we read a book about boundaries that also helps in this area, helping you say no and set those boundaries for what are your needs.
Yeah, I recalled that as well, because when you do say no in that boundaries book, the wonderful thing they shared was expect to feel guilty.
Expect to feel guilty,
Yeah,
and
they didn't
it's
mention
okay
that.
to disappoint the
Right.
other person.
They didn't mention that in this book, and I thought
That's
that would
true.
have been
Yeah.
helpful because that is one of the things that stops you sometimes is like, I'm going to disappoint them. I'm going to feel guilty. That's okay. That's what you'll get over it. It'll be fine.
Right.
It's just temporary.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, they talk about the Dutch where they learn to say no better than maybe some other cultures. And then they also love scheduling, which I found fascinating. And she has a really good graphic on making your calendar work for Niksen, but also how much time do we really need? And they're saying they suggest 2.5 hours a day for people who work full time is optimum. So 2.5 hour gift, Tim, you get. Go do nothing.
Yay. I'm on it.
I thought you might be.
It's sad to me that my initial reaction is like, no way, that's a lot of wasted time. But
Yeah, that's.
I think that's the problem. I have the problem. I need more Niksen.
They're saying schedule.
Come on, Niksen.
In some of the journaling and maybe organizational stuff that we've read, where they're talking about looking at what you intend to do and who you want to become, she has some really nice, Post-it notes on her little illustration on page 65. She's talking about making Niksen a priority and block out 20 minutes every workday and 2 hours a day at the weekend. On your calendar. Don't be fixated on the exact duration, though, because the key is just to get it in every day. And then be realistic and stringent. You should be able to accomplish all the activities you put on your calendar. So don't put stuff on your calendar you can't accomplish. I do that all the time.
I'm so guilty of that, yeah.
If you have to cross out Niksen because of an unforeseen event, move it to another time. And then the one that I started was scheduled time every week for a weekly review. When I do that, my life is so much better.
I have not been able to put that into practice, but you have, and you enjoy it?
I haven't stuck with it, but the times that I do it, it's like, this is so worth it. Why don't I do this all the time? So maybe I will
Gotcha.
get to where it is a regular thing. But if you don't stop every now and then and look at the bigger picture, you'll end up playing catch up and forget all about your planned timeouts. And that has happened to me, So anyways, she has some other ideas.
Well,
there.
so those are bigger chunks. And to me, when I read, in the back, she's like, if you still feel like you're too busy for this, here are the quick things. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm a little better at this than I thought. So eat your lunch in the park. Get outside and enjoy some fresh air. I do that. Get lost in a daydream. Yeah. Spend time in your Niksen room. So there's a new word. I wrote it down, whether I can say it or not. Gezelligheid
Yeah.
is the Dutch equivalent of, and I'm not going to say that word right either. Hug.
Hygge.
Okay.
The Swedish.
Which is that nice atmosphere. So she says, when we have visitors, we put an effort into making our space inviting. And so Annette says, you should do the same with your alone time. Light a candle or, I do feel better when I declutter a little bit. I spend some time in my kitchen and then I'm like, oh, okay, now I can enjoy this nice, clear space. So do that. Look for the beauty in your favorite piece of music or painting. Let breathing calm you. Cook a simple recipe, by heart. That was a fun one. Run a sprint in short bursts in an empty field or lane. Just be a kid, running for the sake of it.
Well, when you were talking about the activities, particularly the one cleaning your kitchen, I think she was talking about people who have a little difficulty with distractions or attention. Things like knitting can be another idea of getting into that downtime where and it's creative. We have a colleague that has a fiber shop in our town, and she is also trying to coach women into try this out as a meditative or a restorative practice. And I think she might be interested in this book for what she's doing too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I thought I might invite her to that.
Tired of feeling stuck in your health journey? At Well Balanced Nutrition, we understand that achieving your health goals isn't just about what you eat. It's about overcoming the mental roadblocks holding you back. Our team of expert nutrition coaches is here to guide you every step of the way, helping you break through mindset barriers and reach your full potential. Don't let mindset barriers stand in the way of your health and happiness. Call Well Balanced Nutrition today and start your journey to a better you. But yeah, although she says it's not supposed to be productive, I feel like that's a bit confusing because hobbies are included in Niksen. So,
and she says some of us need that to attain the benefit of the Niksen.
I agree. I was talking to my husband, and he's like, "Yeah, doing nothing does not sound appealing, but the hobbies that he has are kind of his Niksen." So we go to the lake on weekends when it's nice, and we do a lot of Niksen there. So I was making a list because I was reading this book as we were there. Skipping rocks, lying in a hammock. My daughter was making friendship bracelets. I did some drawing. We sat by a fire. We sat and admired the ripples in the water. So the lake is a perfect place to Niksen.
Yeah.
And your colleague, always shows pictures of her out in nature sitting by the lake. I love those.
The river, yeah.
The river.
On the river, yeah. And I have my fire that I like.
You sit around the fire.
Which is very restorative for me.
With a lovely beverage, as you've sent me pictures. Wish you were here.
Yes, okay. All right, so back to the theory here. I had another tip that was good for me about allow time between tasks.
Yes, the buffer.
For unexpected delays, spontaneous events, or simply to do nothing at all. This space can also protect you from having to do work in the evenings or on the weekends. And, a lot of us are involved in small business networking functions, and we meet people and we talk and we get all these ideas in those conversations. And I have been in a group of people who said, okay, now make sure you have 15 minutes after those things to capture that information and the intentions that you set while you were talking with them. Otherwise, you're going to forget and not do it. And it's true.
It's so true.
So that idea of scheduling not back-to-back things, I think, is wisdom. And then if you can use it for Niksen, you use it for Niksen.
I love that you brought this up because buffering first came to my attention in the book Essentialism, and that's still such a foundational read for me. And the buffer at that point was like, well, I'm always late, so if I put in a buffer, at least I can try to be on time with that buffer. But then there's a part of me that has anxiety if I'm there and doing nothing while I'm waiting to be on time. And this book's like, no, that is
The gift.
the gift. So it's a weird aha moment for me. Well, maybe not weird, but it is. I'm like, okay, maybe if I could see this as a gift of Niksen, then the buffer just makes even more sense to me.
Yeah. Have you ever used the Pomodoro?
I've tried it. Yeah.
She mentions that in here too.
She does. Do you like it?
I do. It helps me because I can focus intensely, and it'll be 2 or 3 hours I've been sitting. And so much of the well-being stuff we've read says move your body.
Yeah.
Sitting that long is not good. So the Pomodoro is really helpful for me to say, oh, okay, get up and put your shoes on, walk out to the end of the sidewalk if that's all you do, but get outside and come back in and then go back.
Yeah, that's like 20 to 25 minutes of work and then a
5 minutes.
5-minute break.
And then you get a longer break after 3 rounds of that.
Okay.
I think it's the way it works.
Struggled because it took me just about that whole time to
get focused.
And then the timer would go off. I'm like, well, I can't break focus now.
No.
So I think it would work for me in a longer stretch, like in an hour, and then every hour take a break.
Yeah. So we read all these wonderful tips, and then we go on to the next one, and it's incorporating them into our lifestyles that I find intriguing. And I was happy to hear that you're finding that you're already practicing some of these things.
Yeah.
That's always affirming, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Like this is good.
Okay.
I don't want to give this up.
That's right.
Yeah, this is necessary for good reason.
I can let go of the guilt that comes with it and the negative feelings. This is a good thing. Now, we've talked about how often these books relate to each other or bring up. And I came up with a long list
good.
of other books that this reminded me of.
Tell us.
So the blue zones, in the world's original blue zones where the longest lived people have their routines, they have a downshift in their day. And that reminded me of this. It's a time to shake off life's tensions, and usually it's thought of like this afternoon.
The mugwort vodka.
Yes, so it could be the social drinking, but it could be a nap. It could be, although she says Niksen is not supposed to be a nap. I will say that.
It's not communal either, is it? It's alone. Or is it communal?
I think it's alone. It's alone.
Yeah.
But I think the blue zones they have something very similar in that downshift, and it looks different in each culture, but they prioritize downshift, which just means not being productive all the time, right? Like we can just do this for the sake of doing it. And then the nature fix, obviously, because going outside is a great place to Niksen. And then the power of fun and how to break up with your phone. Catherine talks about these concepts a lot. And then essentialism, I already mentioned that one.
Yeah.
So a lot of them.
Right. So it's reinforcing these ideas. It's like this could be a good idea, folks.
That's right.
I had highlighted a thing about in the workplace, since we were talking about focusing and doing work and using the timer. She has a paragraph here. The possibility that we can be accessible always and everywhere has led to the expectation that we are accessible always and everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I had a conversation with some women yesterday, and they were talking about, well, some professions absolutely demand that. And when you think about medical personnel, they're on a lot of times well beyond what we could expect for this, unless we restructure their environment. And then I was thinking about shopkeepers, that have small businesses and open doors, and they're meeting the public. You can't say, "Oh, I'm going to," or maybe you could closed, for 20 minutes.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I think.
But you get coverage. You get somebody else to cover it for you.
I think it's possible, but very challenging for a lot of careers. I was speaking to a principal at one of our chamber meetings, and she felt like she always had to be on, even in the evenings. And realtors, right? Their most demanding times are on the weekends and the evenings. So they probably have to restructure where they spend their downtime.
Yes, yeah. She says, add to that the fact that more than ever we tend to identify ourselves with our job, which is assumed to be nothing less than our passion, and the line between our professional and personal life is truly blurred, all at the expense of time to rest and revive ourselves. And I thought that was really well stated, and it's a good observation of where we are, that we're not reviving ourselves, and that's why we're burning, and more professionals are needed to take care of us because we're burning up.
Yeah.
And we could do differently. We could do better. So we need to spread the word. You all tell people about this book. It's a quick read, fun read too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's encouraging. I think it makes a fun gift too.
Oh, it might be. Yeah. That's sweet.
I want that.
Oh.
I want that for my wife.
Okay. Oh, good.
She needs it.
She does.
Oh, yeah. You met her?
Yeah, I think a lot of us need it. Let's spread the word. It's Niksen.
Or we could all take a field trip to the Netherlands. She likes to travel too, doesn't she?
Yeah. So that'll be, all three of us can go.
I would like to.
Because I've been too. Yeah. I went in 2013.
Very
I was only there for 2 days, but I loved it. They have the tallest average height in the world.
Oh, really?
Men, the average height for men is 6 feet, which is what here? I don't know. And for women, it's 5'7".
Oh, I'm going to look like a midget.
Well, even I look short compared to most of the women. And there is no ugly people there other than tourists. Every person who lives there is beautiful. I saw nary an ugly person other than somebody with an American accent.
Maybe it's because they're so happy.
Could be.
Well, they have the happiness index knocked out of the block and the real cute little picture of their country in this book with all these little happy people running around the countryside with the windmills.
And the food is delicious.
Yeah, maybe we do need a group trip.
We do.
I have to talk to our tatted travel agent. Have you met her yet? Michaela Snyder? She'll organize it for us. Do you have a happiness diary?
I don't.
Well, they think we should keep one. Find out what makes you happy, and you can do that with some of the ideas in here. The exercises were really fun.
Yeah.
And hopefully you did some of them because I thought this is something you could recommend to people.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm Eleanor at 360health4u.com, and I like to focus on preventive strategies that help the well-being of people improve or maintain. So if you're interested in that, give me a call or contact me at 360health4u.com.
And I'm Kristen Norton, one of the registered dietitians at Well Balanced Nutrition. We offer nutrition and wellness coaching. And if you'd like to check out more, go to wellbalancednutrition.com, see what we have to offer, and book a free clarity call to chat with one of our dietitians.
And opinions stated in this podcast are solely those of the contributors and are not necessarily those of our distributors or hosting company. This podcast is copyrighted, and no part can be reproduced without the expressed written consent of Kristen and Eleanor.